What's up everybody, it's the Sonoran Desert Grower. In this video, I'm going to show you how I set up my sub-irrigated planters. So I went and got 6 buckets of lava rock, lava cinders, about 3/4 inch to 1 inch size. And I'm going to use this to make the water reservoir in my sub-irrigated planter and to add to my potting soil mix as the aeration component. You want to take the stickers off, and it fits perfectly right there in the center. So it's time to fill it up. My dryland permaculture growing guide explains this entire process. It's a 90-page document, and one of the chapters is sub-irrigated planters / self-watering containers, and I explain everything. You can get access to that document by joining my Patreon at the $2 level at www.patreon.com/the Sonoran Desert Grower. But I'll briefly explain what I'm doing here with these planters. So I went to a big box store and I tried to find a pot that was at least 20 inches wide. It's very important that it has no drainage holes. So once I kind of zoned in on the possible planters I could buy, I went for the bigger ones that were available. I then went and got a couple terracotta pots. These ones are 4 inches tall, which gives me a good amount of space to build a water reservoir, and that's what I'm doing. The lava rock is creating a reservoir for the water to be held. The terracotta pot is a wicking chamber that is going to allow the roots of the plants to suck out the water from the water reservoir, and I'm going to fill it with potting soil that I make myself. Once I have the water reservoir and the wicking chamber set like you see here, the next step is to add an overflow tube. I use 3/4 inch copper tubing to make my overflow tubes when I'm growing outdoors. You should not use PVC outdoors because it will break down from exposure to the sun and it will leach into your soil. So I strictly use copper tubing for that part. Some people like to put a fill tube that goes into the reservoir, so I would have to have added a fill tube before adding lava rock. Me personally, I do not use a fill tube because I'm going to set all of these up to drip irrigation, and that will be part 2 of this series. One of the great benefits of using sub-irrigated planters is you will need to irrigate your container garden a lot less. This entire garden throughout the summer only needs 1 minute of watering every single day to keep the plants happy. There's also a fine line between having too much water and the soil going anaerobic. So I like to underwater them, because even underwatering them, you're still giving them a lot of water, because whatever water you give this planter is going to collect at the bottom. So if I notice that they're overflowing consecutively, then I'll back off on the irrigation. I like these ones a little bit more. They're much wider. So they seem to be as wide as these older ones. A little bit wider. I like it. So now I gotta drill the hole and put in the copper tubing in here. So this is an old copper tube that I need to clean out that I used for my 5-gallon sub-irrigated planters. You would fill them up. Right, this would go in here. It would reach all the way to the bottom, and you would feed it or water it by filling it the bottom up. I did away with that because I feel it's unnecessary.
I'd much rather put these on a drip irrigation system. I just laid down the line for a drip irrigation system because that is the most efficient way to water these. We're in a water crisis, so we're gonna grow food, but we're gonna do it in a way that saves us water. So what I've done is I've put a clay pot in the center, and that's our wicking chamber. This clay pot is porous, so if you fill it with potting mix, it's gonna wick up into the rest of the planter. So I did that for each one of them, right? So in the center, we have a clay pot, the wicking chamber, and the clay, or the lava rocks, make a water reservoir. So this ring of lava rock, creating a donut around the clay pot, is going to be our water reservoir. It's going to hold a lot of water, and these plants are going to be very happy. And there's no holes in the bottom of this. These are all solid. So that's what we look for when we look for planters. We look for completely solid planters with no holes, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to install this pipe in here at the bottom. It's going to stick out like this pipe right here, that pipe. And I like using copper because it lasts forever and can reuse it. So this is older than my son. My son is 9 years old, and this is older than him. So I'm gonna reuse this. I'm gonna go scrounge up more. I think I have a couple left still. So that's next on the agenda, is to install the tubes. After we install the tubes, we can fill it up with soil. So I have these little guys that are from planters like this that have died. Like this one, you gotta get rid of. It's just totally done. So when we do get rid of that, I'm going to pull the pipe and use it for other projects. So that's why, like, this is why the copper is worth the initial upfront cost, because you can always reuse it. And that's what I'm saying. I originally bought these for different planters, and because the containers that Home Depot and Lowe's sells is always changing.
Brief recap. You need a planter that is solid. You put a clay pot in there. Then you fill it with lava rock. It needs to be a pH neutral rock. And this is going to create your water reservoir. And a water reservoir consists of a space for the water to collect, a wicking chamber. You could add a fill tube, but it's not necessary if you're going to put it on drip irrigation. And you need an overflow. So I'm going to install the overflow now. And I use a drill and a hole saw.
It's too big. Way too big. Is it this one? Just right. Because this one's a bit too small. Yep. So it'd be this one. Put it on 2. Slow it down a little bit. Let's see what that does. I'm gonna take all this plastic out, put it in my pocket. I threw some on the floor that I need to pick up. This made a pretty clean hole. .22mm, 7/8 of an inch on a 17 setting, number 2.
I use a bamboo garden stake to clean the insides of these old copper tubes because there's spider webs in there and there's usually spiders in them. So This is how I clean them up to reuse them to make sure nothing gets clogged. And I usually don't have issues with them getting clogged. I've actually never had an issue with them getting clogged once they're in the planter themselves. So the 3/4 inch copper tubing is the way to go. This concludes part one of my sub-irrigated planter tutorial. I'm going to cover how to do the irrigation next. Just laying down the initial line. And it's going to be a quick video. I'm going to get to the point and all that stuff, right? Very simple. Then the video after that will be making the potting soil. And we'll see how long things take, but the whole rest of the process that is left from now is to make the potting soil and connect these planters, obviously fill them and all that, and then connect these planters to drip irrigation. So we'll see how many videos it ends up being because I want them to be digestible. I don't want them to be super long, but I'm kind of shooting for this kind of style of video where it's direct to the point. I'm hammering the essential points consistently throughout the video so that y'all are learning how to grow more food with less water. So that's kind of my whole goal with this channel is to put out good information for gardening in Arizona. I'm a third generation farmer and I'm just tired of seeing bad information for our region. Every time I go to search something on YouTube about gardening in Arizona, it is just bad, and nothing against people who are making content and putting stuff out there on YouTube, but it's just obvious that they don't know what they're doing, and that's fine. A lot of people don't know what they're doing. I'm one of those few that actually knows what's going on and how to do things so that we're conserving water and still growing a bunch of food. So I'm going to take you on this journey with me. I'm going to document my gardening process so that y'all learn as I do my thing. And if you would like to support this type of content again, please go to my Patreon at www.patreon.com/the Sonoran Desert Grower, and you can sign up for as little as $2 a month. And you're going to get access to a lot of exclusive tutorials that are only for the Patreon community. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.